Director and writer Bryan Bertino first burst onto the horror scene in a major way with his 2008 modern classic, The Strangers. The terrifying home invasion film was such a big hit that it launched a franchise, but like many directors who hit a home run out of the park on the first try, it's been hard to replicate the past. Thankfully, Bertino hasn't tried to succeed by simply redoing what worked before. 2014's Mockingbird didn't work, but 2016's The Monster and 2020's The Dark and the Wicked were better efforts. Bryan Bertino likes to have women as the heroes of his films, and his latest, Vicious, is no different. Starring Dakota Fanning, who continues her genre streak with last year's The Watchers, Vicious is both written and directed by Bertino. Although it becomes predictable towards the end and goes on a little too long, a strong opening act, a creepy atmosphere, and a superb performance from Fanning make Vicious a fun, albeit flawed, little fright fest worth checking out.
Dakota Fanning and Kathryn Hunter star in Vicious.
Vicious starts with all the delicious ingredients for a finely baked horror movie. It's around Christmastime in a snowy suburb, but we don't see anyone out on the streets. In a large, older home, the type with dark wood and even darker corners where bad things can hide, sits a woman named Polly who lives all alone. Then, at night, comes a knock at the door. This is already scary enough, but the trouble has already started before Polly opens the door. Bertino doesn't overwrite her, but Polly is going through some shit. She's a sad soul who looks eternally exhausted, and all that's keeping her going are the cigarettes she sucks down one after another. We get tidbits here and there of a deeper drama, with a frustrated voicemail from a boss and calls to Polly's mom. Something bad has happened, but she's fighting to get her life back on track by practicing for a job interview set for the next day. Then comes the knock at the door, and everything goes to hell. Polly opens the door to find an old woman, played by stage and screen veteran Kathryn Hunter, on her porch. The small, elderly lady is lost and confused, but because this is a horror movie, we don't believe her. Sorry, but Weapons has set mysterious elderly women back for a generation. You want to yell at Polly not to do it, but because she's a good person, she lets the old woman in out of the cold. Moments later, she's pulling out a box with an hourglass in it and telling Polly that she's going to die tonight. She doesn't say it with any witchy joy, but with genuine fear and anxiety. She promises that this is the worst thing she's ever done, but she must give Polly this box. Whatever waits inside can perhaps be escaped, but not likely. And then, with her host scared, the woman is kicked out with her box. It's when that box mysteriously reappears inside that Polly's life takes a turn that there is no coming back from.
Bryan Bertino creates a creepy atmosphere like The Strangers. If Bryan Bertino taught us one thing, it's that the guy knows how to craft atmosphere. The Strangers, as his best example, is full of it. We're in a somewhat secluded home, it's night, and the characters are already filled with tension before the knock at the door comes. The Strangers has dark shadows everywhere and with a slow-burning turn of the screw that is almost unbearable. That's not unlike Vicious, even if the plots are different. There are no masked killers here, just a creepy woman and a box, at least at first. Vicious could have been a trope-filled mess with a house that's so visually unsettling that you wonder how anyone could live in it, even without the horror going on around them. Instead, the house in Vicious is big enough for its plot, but it's the fact that Polly is so alone in the quiet of it all that makes it all unnerving. The old woman with her gravelly voice makes our skin crawl. But it's the mystery of the unknown that puts us there, but not because she acts like a stereotype with a gnarly smile and crazy laugh. She's a human being, but she brings something sinister in with her. There are jump scares, but not so many as to overdo it. That's not what Vicious is all about. Instead, it's more of finding out what's in the box and dealing with it. There is something supernatural afoot when Polly opens it, and it will take her life if she doesn't do exactly what it says. Bertino forces us to figure it out with Polly. There is none of that finding an expert or getting on a computer to have it all told to us crap. This doesn't mean that the approach taken is perfect. Once you figure out what's happening, Vicious repeats itself and fills its runtime with predictable scares you've seen before. It's a fairly predictable premise with a well-worn answer, but it's all held together by its star.
Dakota Fanning keeps Vicious moving when it starts to drag.
Vicious holds things back, but sometimes too much. We know Polly is going through a bad time, but we don't know exactly what happened. We also know that she cares deeply about her mother, sister, and little niece, but we don't see them interact before the scary bits begin. It's both refreshing and frustrating. While a movie should never tell us too much, Vicious doesn't always show enough. That's why it's so important that an actress as good as Dakota Fanning is in the lead, especially since she's also who we follow in nearly every shot. She's by herself in so many scenes, looking terrified or talking on the phone in sequences with conclusions you can see coming a mile away, and we need her expressive face to pull us in. We care about Polly, even when we don't know why we should, because of Fanning's quiet confidence. Vicious at 98 minutes is still perhaps 10 minutes too long. As the third act begins to get bogged down in the horror tropes it holds off from giving into for so long, the monster turns into a familiar presence we've felt in past movies, and the twist ending is so easy to predict that there's no jolt to shock us in the final minute. The audience knows pretty much how it will end, but the fun is in getting there. Bryan Bertino did well in coming up with a scary premise, building a creepy setting, and putting a credible character in the middle of it all. That's half the hard work out of the way right there. The flaw in Vicious is that it doesn't know how to keep all of those hits going through to its runtime. There are more misses than connections in the third act, and for its title, it's never really vicious enough despite the blood and gore to come. Still, it'll keep you on your toes as it's cutting off someone else's. Vicious won't go down as one of the best horror movies of 2025, but it's worth your time on a cold, dark night. Vicious releases on VOD and starts streaming on Paramount Plus on October 10th.